In this video, I'm going to go over the review that we did in class for the systems of equations. This will help you for your Chapter 3 test. Here in this problem, it asks, what is the y value of the solution of the system? So anytime you have a graph, your solution is the point of intersection. So we need to look at the point of intersection in this graph. So here you can see they cross here. X would be at -1, and our y is equal to -2. So since it wanted the y value, the answer is -2. If they had asked you to write it as a point, it would be -1, -2, but here they only wanted the y. Here it says if we were to solve graphically, which system would have exactly one point of intersection? So remember, there's 3 possible solutions that a system could have. If they intersect, it has one solution. If they're parallel, it has no solution. And if it's the same line, then it has infinite solutions. Now, we know that parallel lines have the same slope. So if you see that they have the same slope, they're never going to intersect. So if you look at these problems, here B, we see the same slope. So these are parallel lines. So that can't be my answer. If you look at D, these both have a slope of -1. So those are also parallel lines, so that cannot be the answer. And if you look at C, we have 3/5 and 0.6. Well, 3/5, if you change it to a decimal, is also 0.6. So these 2 lines are parallel as well, so they would also have no solution. So the only answer choice here that would have a point of intersection is A, because there they have different slopes. Question 3 wants to know which ordered pair is in the solution set for this system. So since one of these equations starts with y equals, we're going to have to use the substitution method. So here we can plug in x minus 4 into this y. So I have 2x plus 2 times x minus 4 equals 16. And I can continue to solve from there. So I'm going to distribute. 2 times x is 2x, 2 times -4 is -8. Here I can combine like terms, so I get 4x minus 8 equals 16, and you can continue to solve from there. So I already know my x is 6. I'm not going to do any more work. The only answer choice here that has an x of 6 is C. Question 4 wants to know the solution. Here, since one of these starts with x equals, we're also going to use substitution. This time, I'm going to plug -4y into x. So this becomes -4y plus 2y equals 6. And here we can combine like terms. -4 plus 2 is going to be -2y equals 6. If I divide by -2, I get -3 for my answer for y. Remember, y is the second number in an ordered pair. The only answer choice that has that is B. Question 5 wants to know the solution for x in the system. Here I'm also going to use substitution because one of these starts with y equals. So I'm going to plug -x plus 1 into this y right here. This one I have to be careful because there's this negative in front. So when I plug it in, there's still a negative. So I'm going to use parentheses and then put -x plus 1. Here I can distribute. I'm going to put an imaginary 1. So -1 times -1x is +1x. And -1 times 1 is -1. This one, I have an x on both sides. I like to undo the smaller one, so I'm going to do minus 1x. And I can continue solving from there. So I get 2 as my answer for x. This next problem wants the whole solution set. And this time, they're both in standard form. So I'm going to have to use the elimination method. So here I notice that I have positive y and negative y. Since those are opposite sides, these will eliminate or cancel. So I can already eliminate those. 1x plus 1x is 2x, and 11 plus 5 is 16. If I divide those by 2, I get x equals 8 as my answer. So I can eliminate A and C. Here I'm going to have to plug it back in because you see B and D both have an 8. Here you can choose which one you want to plug it back into. I'm going to plug this back into the top equation. So instead of x plus y equals 11, I can plug in 8 for x. And that's because our answer for x was 8. And I would do minus 8 to get y by itself. So my answer for y is 3. So our solution is 8, 3. Here in this next question, we're also going to use elimination because both are in standard form. This time we have to be careful because even though both of these have 2x, if you add those, you're going to get 4x. They don't cancel. So here I'm going to want to change my signs. So this becomes negative 2x, negative 1y, and positive 4. So now they cancel. 3 minus 1 will give me 2y, and 12 plus 4 is 16. So for y, my answer is 8. That's answer choice D. My next problem wants the solution. Here, none of the variables have the same coefficient. So we're going to have to use multiplication. So we can use the x's here. This is 2x. I can make my second equation also be 2x if I multiply everything by 2. So 2 times 1x is 2x, 2 times 1y is 2y, and 2 times 6 is 12. My top equation, I'm going to leave it alone. Now, if I look at the way it's written right now, my x's won't eliminate because they're both positive. So I'm going to have to also change the signs. So this is going to be negative 2x. This will change to negative 2y. This will change to negative 12. So 3y minus 2y is 1y. 14 minus 12 is 2. Here I get 2 as my answer for y. Remember, anytime you have an ordered pair, your y is your second one. So the only answer choice that has 2 in the y column is A right here. Question 9 also wants us to do elimination. This time, again, we're going to have to multiply. There's several ways you can do this. I'm actually going to use my y's because the bottom one's a 4, and we can make the top one 4 by multiplying 2. So I'm going to multiply everything in the top by 2. And then my equation becomes 10x plus 4y equals 24. My bottom one I'm going to leave the same. Right now, these will not eliminate because 4y and 4y will give me 8. So I'm going to have to change the signs on the bottom one. So this becomes positive, this one becomes negative, this one becomes negative. So now they eliminate. I'll get 12x equals 0. So my answer for x is 0. Remember, if you have an ordered pair, x goes first. So the correct answer here would be A. This next problem, again, none of the variables have the same coefficient. This is one where we're going to have to multiply both because 3 cannot turn into 5 and 2 cannot turn into 3. So I'm going to actually try to get my x's the same. I can make both of these 15. I just use the same numbers. So since I have a 3 here, I'm going to do this one times 3. Since I have a 5 here, I'm going to do this one times 5. And when I multiply, both of them will become a 15x. So here if I do everything times 5, I get 15x plus 10y equals 15. On the bottom, if I do everything times 3, I get 15x minus 9y equals negative 42. Here my x's won't cancel just yet because they're both positive. So I need to change the signs on the bottom one. So now they eliminate. 10 and 9 is 19y. 15 plus 42 is 57. If we divide by 19, we get 3 as our answer for y. This one only wanted y, so the answer is B. This next question, you didn't learn with me, but you should have learned with your other teachers. Here, it's asking us which system of inequalities is graphed below. On your test, I am going to add this question type, but it will count as extra credit. But if you can do it, if you remember how to do it, great. So let's go over it right now. So if I look at my bottom line, if I look at the dashed line first, I want to write an equation for it. So if you look at the dashed line, the y-intercept is negative 5. If I do my slope, it's going down 2, right 1. So my slope would be negative 2 over 1 or negative 2. So if I wanted to write an equation for that, it would be negative 2x minus 5. Because you use your slope in front of x and then you put your y-intercept. Then I'm going to put my y. Now, if I look at where it's shaded above that dashed line. So that would be greater than negative 2x minus 5. I'm going to leave it dashed. I'm not going to put the little equal underneath because it's dashed, so it doesn't equals. So we want to see if there's an equation that's saying the same thing as this. So if you look at your A's, because those are the ones that have the 5s, the first equations, let's see which one matches this. The first one, if we rewrite it, we get y greater than or equal to negative 2x plus 5. That doesn't match already because of the equal to. If we rewrite B, we get y is greater than negative 2x minus 5. So that one could be right. If we rewrite C, I'm going to stop because it already has greater than or equal to. This is a dashed line, so it can't be C. And if I do D and I move negative 2x, it becomes y is greater than positive 2x plus 5. So here the only one that's going to match is B. Let's check the second equation just to make sure. So I'm going to rewrite this second equation here. I have 3x minus 2y is greater than or equal to 9. If I move out to the other side, I get negative 3x plus 9. Then I want to divide everything by negative 2. Remember, when you divide by a negative, your symbol flips, so it becomes less than or equal to. Here, two negatives become positive. And 9 divided by negative 2 is negative 4.5. I'm changing the y-intercept to a decimal, so we can check that on the graph. So this one would start at negative 4.5. So far, so good. The slope would be 3 over 2, so up 3, right 2. If I choose 2 points on that line, it goes up 3, right 2. So that matches up, and then it's a solid line, so it has the equal to, and it's shaded underneath that line, so less than. So B here is the correct answer, okay? Again, this one involves a little more analyzing. You really need to be good at graphing and converting the slope-intercept form. Since I did not spend a lot of time doing that with you, I don't know how much your other teacher did, that will count extra points on your test, but I still want you to practice doing it. And this next question just wants to check that you can write equations for systems by reading word problems. So here, let's go ahead and read. Here it says the Ramos family spent $18 on 3 hot dogs, 2 drinks, and 2 pretzels. I can write an equation for that statement. So she spent $18, and that was on 3 hot dogs, 2 drinks, and 2 pretzels. Sorry, this should be a plus. My next sentence says the Perez family spent $19 on 2 hot dogs, 4 drinks, and 2 pretzels. And the Flores family spent $20.75 on 4 hot dogs, 1 drink, and 3 pretzels. So I'm using H to represent the hot dogs, D to represent the drinks, and P to represent the pretzels. And I'm just writing equations to represent what that total cost would be for each of these families. Now, here you have answer choices. So if you wanted to know the price, here you don't have to do it by hand. You can just plug in those costs for H, D, and P, and you want to see which of those would give you the correct total cost for each family. So you have to make sure that it works for each family, not just one of them. To save time, I'm going to show the one that is the correct answer and one that you would see is wrong right away. So for example, if you were to check problem A, you would plug $3.25 in for H, $2.50 for D, and $1.25 for P. So let's say I'm plugging in it to the top one. I would do this plus 2 times $2.50 plus 2 times $1.25. And I'm checking this right now for the Ramos family that costs $18. So if this is correct for their family, it would come out to 18. This you can do on a calculator. If you do the math here, I end up getting $17.25, which is not correct. So right away, since this didn't work for one of the families, I know it's wrong. But to make sure that it's correct, you want to make sure it works for all 3 families. I'm going to go ahead and look at answer choice D, because this one's the correct one for this problem. So if I try for the first family, I would do 3 times the $3.50 for the hot dogs, 2 times the $2.25 for the drinks, and 2 times the $1.50 for the pretzels. If you work this out, this comes out to 10.5, this comes out to $4.50, this comes out to $3. If I add all those together, that comes out to 18. Again, though, you want to check it for all 3. So I'm also going to check it now for the one that costs $19. So I would do 2 times $3.50 plus 4 times $2.25 plus 2 times $1.50. If I do the math for that, I'm going to get 7 plus 9 plus 3, which comes out to 19. So it's correct for the second family. And then you would also want to check it for that third family, the one that's $20.75. So that one would be 4 times $3.50 plus 1 times $2.25 plus 3 times $1.50. And again, I'm using the equations that I wrote in red, and I'm checking all of them for answer choice D. So 4 times $3.50 would be $14. The next one's $2.25, and then 3 times $1.50 would be $4.50. I'm going to add all these together. And sure enough, it comes out to $20.75. So since D worked for all 3 families, it's the correct solution for that system. Again, I don't know how in-depth the other teachers went with you into the word problems. This type of problem will count as extra credit on your test. Go ahead, and if you feel like you need to review this video again, you can. If you just want to practice working out the problems, pull up the blank document or the one where I saved with the solutions, and you can use that to help you study.